Hello everyone, and welcome to my last video of the year, an unexpected book haul. If you're new here, I'm Marilyn, sometimes called Maya, and when I started this channel, I named it the Baby Boomer Booktuber. So you could call me any one of those things. So this has been a tumultuous year for a lot of people. I wasn't spared. And in my next video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and how that's affecting my channel. But this week, I never expected that I would find some really fantastic books that I wanted to share with you. And I did talk about looking for this book, and we'll get into it now. It's called Simple Abundance, a Daybook of Comfort and Joy by Sarah Ben Breathnach, or Breathnach. Let me just show it to you. This is the original print of 1995, when I really needed this book because that's the year my mother passed away, and I went into a very almost a breakdown around that time, and I was living on another island, and I didn't have many friends there, and this book was, as it says, was a comfort. Now, and I talked about it before, but when I read it again, it didn't give me all of the same feels that I had in 1995. So I was very happy to find out that the author made an updated copy in 2019, and I'm looking forward to reading that copy. Of course, I haven't read all of it yet. It's a book that you dip into. And I wanted to read you one. Well, the book is a book of quotations, and then she talks about it, and it goes through a year of seasons. And as I live in Hawaii for so long, we don't really have that many seasons. Right now, we're going into a rainy season, but it hasn't rained, which is unusual. Usually it rains the end of November, and here we are the end of December, and we haven't really had a big rain. I do live on the dry side of the island, however. Now, this was an Oprah Winfrey Book of the Year in 1995, I think. And basically, it shows you how your daily life can be an expression of your authentic self. That was the tagline of it. And I was very happy to turn to the book and find on October 9th, she has Coping with Stress. And Salman Rushdie, a famous author that most booktubers know, says, his quote is, "In this world without quiet corners, there can be no easy escapes from hullabaloo, from terrible, unquiet fuss." And isn't that true today? And she starts it, "Is there a woman alive who doesn't suffer from stress? If there is, seek her out, ask her to share her wisdom. When you find her, I'd be willing to bet she'll offer the following suggestions." I have to add, men go through stress as well. So I think that part should be updated. Everyone is going through stress. And her answers are, in this particular date, is to cultivate gratitude, carve out an hour a day of solitude, begin and end the day with prayer, meditation, and reflection. Keep it simple. And we know all of these. Well, we don't know all of them, but I'm sure that since 1995, these are maybe more well-known ways of ending stress. But we've had more stress since 1995 in our country, in the world, etc. And I'm wondering what her new book, her new edition, will say about that. And also, I found this book to be, it's a little bit religious, and if that's not your bag, as we said in the 60s, this might not work for you. But I think it has something for everyone, man, woman, teenagers, and I know it helped me. It also comes with a gratitude journal. And I know Oprah Winfrey was big on the gratitude journal. And I also have that book. And it's very interesting to see what I wrote down in 1995 when I was going through that period in my life. But let's get down to the second book in my haul. And this is a delight because if you've ever read Winnie the Pooh, you know that A.A. Milne wrote those stories for his son. I think his son was Christopher Robin, though I have to admit I have not read Winnie the Pooh in a book form. When my children were small, they had sort of a cartoon of Winnie the Pooh on the Disney Channel, and I would watch along with them, and I loved it. I really loved it, and I should really read the book by A.A. Milne. In fact, I read a book by his niece, and if I remember the title, I'll put it down below, but it was a really good book as well. Now, I didn't realize that The Mystery of the Red House was printed in 1922. I did not realize that, but I really liked, he wrote this for his father, who he said loved mysteries, and there weren't enough mysteries around. And it was a delightful little loving introduction to his father. And I'm going to try to find that. But I wanted to read you just a little part of it that brought back a feeling of Winnie the Pooh to me. And it starts out, the first chapter is Mrs. Stevens is frightened. But before we get to the mystery, I wanted to just read you the first paragraph, which gave me those Winnie the Pooh vibes. In the drowsy heat of the summer afternoon, the red house was taking its siesta. There was a lazy murmur of bees in the flower borders, a gentle cooing of pigeons in the tops of the elms. From distant lawns came the whirl of a mowing machine, that most restful of all country sounds, making ease the sweeter in that it is taking while others are working. I just love that. And I should say that I'll have a print version over here. But I wanted to also read you the little introduction to his father. I should have said I'm reading this on my Kindle if I haven't said it already. So this introduction is to John Vine Milne, my dear father. Like all really nice people, you have a weakness for detective stories and feel that there are not enough of them. So after all that you have done for me, the least that I can do for you is to write you one. Here it is, with more gratitude and affection that I could well put down here. I thought that was very sweet, and I had to read it to you. So my next book in my haul is a book that I have, and I was very fortunate with the Red House Mystery as well to get a copy from my good friend on my Kindle, from my good friend Nathan. So thank you, Nathan. I really appreciate the books, because this one I showed you many times, and it has the 3 stories: Murder on the Orient Express, They Came to Baghdad, and Murder in Mesopotamia. And I've never read, except for Murder on the Orient Express, I had never read Murder in Mesopotamia. And every time I wanted to read it, for some reason I thought it was not going to be a book that I really liked. I didn't know if I liked archaeology. But let me tell you, I love this book. I'm almost finished. I think I know who done it, but I'm not sure. Let me just tell you, I'm reading it with a wonderful booktuber who doesn't get enough love. Her name is Berna. She's a Turkish booktuber, and her booktube channel's name is Berna's Bookish Adventures. I'll have that down below. Please check her out. And every time I try to want to tell you about it, it was kind of spoilery. So I'm just going to say about it that an archaeologist's wife, see, I'm gonna well, how shall I say it? Okay. We are introduced to a lot of people on the river Tigris in Iraq, and they are excavating. So there's a lot of people there, and the archaeologist and his wife take center stage. But the narrator is a nurse called Nurse Leatherton. I love the way Agatha Christie always had these very unusual names. I'm thinking she was trying not to use a real British name, so she would make up names. And a lot of, if you really read Agatha Christie, you will notice that, and that's something that I noticed. And the action takes place in a big courtyard type that is very common, and I'm having a delightful read with Berna, who's explaining to me a lot. In fact, she sent me a bigger copy of the courtyard and the rooms of all these people that live there, because that's where the murder is solved. But it's not really important to know where the murder is solved, because Hercule Poirot, he's coincidentally in the area, and even Murder on the Orient Express is sort of teased in this, in the beginning and in the end. But I'm enjoying this. It's even more enjoyable when I read somewhere else that this book was written by Agatha Christie when she was on and one of those expeditions with her second husband, Max Mallowan, who was an archaeologist. And all of these people are actually people she knew, and was quite irritated with a couple of them. So that just made it even, the story is coming to life even more for me. And I'm an Agatha Christie fan, as many of you know. So I won't talk about it more, but please let me know if you've read Murder in Mesopotamia. And please let me know down in the comments. I would love to know what you thought of it. Okay, now, the next book, I don't have a physical copy either, but I'll have it over here. It's called The Princess of 72nd Street by Elaine Krak. I'm watching a lot of Booktube right now. The end of the year lists are coming out, and a big Booktuber, AnaWallaceJohnson, had this on her best books of the year. And I don't want to know too much about this. It's a small volume, but one thing it says is that a truly underappreciated classic, that the book is, and the New Yorker said, about a smart and sensitive yet deeply troubled young woman fighting to live on her own terms. I think that AnaWallaceJohnson said something about it was like a bohemian Sex in the City, which piqued my interest. But I don't know exactly if it's set in the 60s. I don't want to know. We didn't really call ourselves bohemians. First, I guess there were beatniks, and then there were hippies. But yeah, that word was not, really said about that period of time, at least in my time living in New York. Now, 72nd Street is a pretty well-known area in New York, Upper West Side. Well, actually, it could be East 72nd or West 72nd. They're both, they were both really expensive areas, even during the 60s. So I'm very interested, especially I did hear that it discusses mental illness, which I'm always there for. I'm always here for that. Okay, and that's all I want to know about it, and I'm going to read it very soon, like today. And my next book is a book that was waiting for me at the library, and I talked about wanting to read this particular volume. I'll show you. It's part of the trilogy, The Country Girls by Edna O'Brien. And here is this photo. I don't know if you like it, but it gave me a 60s vibe. And I remember I read this book as a buddy read, and I remember, one thing I remember is that this volume, it's sort of a trilogy, and this volume was my favorite. So what is it about? It says that Kathleen and Baba, and you'll know from if you read The Country Girls, the first volume, that they're two girls living in Ireland in the 50s, I think. And now they're in Dublin, where they discuss men, drink gin, and try to look fast. I love that. Kate, in the pursuit of true love, becomes involved with the fanatically domineering Eugene Gallard. Painful disillusion and occasional moments of bliss in her life make this a bittersweet tale. It's also quite hilarious, and if you've read the trilogy. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to rereading, because this is a rereading this. I don't know if I'm going to read it before the end of the year or not, but I was glad that it was waiting for me at the library. And well, the last book, I might not read at all, but I just wanted to show it to you. It's a Ruth Rendell book, and it sounded interesting to me. I also got it from the library along with another book by her that I sort of DNF'd, but this is Keys to the Street, and it really sounded interesting. Let me see when it was published. Now, I usually prefer the Lieutenant Wexford books of hers, but she has a lot of standalones, and this one was written in 1996. It seems that a lot of the books are written around that time. And it got a lot of praise. So what is it says that it's about? Well, this is located in the area. When it says located, I guess it means set in the area around Regent's Park, London. And it says that Ruth Rendell creates an atmospheric, charged universe where a young woman's life is in danger. And I think it deals with boyfriend abuse as well, and this kind of piqued my interest, of bone marrow transplant, which I'm not sure was that done in 1995, but I guess it was. And how it irritated her boyfriend or something. But if I get to this, or if you've read it, and I know I have a lot of mystery lovers that are subscribers, so let me know if you've read it. So that's my little book haul, and I really intend to read all of these books. So I can call it my end of year book haul. I will not see you until the new year, so I wish you all to have a happy and healthy new year. If you're going out on New Year's Eve, be careful. I never go out on New Year's Eve, but we have a lot of fireworks here in Hawaii. That's our culture. Not my particular culture, but the culture of the local people that live in Hawaii. So we have a lot of illegal fireworks, and I get a little nervous because I live in a wooden house, and we always like wet the grass and make sure we don't want our house to burn in any way. Like I said, it's all wood, but for some reason they made it illegal to have these really, really, really strong aerials that are quite dangerous in the wrong hands, and people do get killed every year, at least one or two, because they are, they hurt themselves, and it's tragic sometimes. So, but I have a whole in my window, I can see a whole fireworks show, and that can be sometimes fun. When I had dogs, it was horrible, and I had to leave because they were so freaked out by the noise and just the smoke and everything. But believe it or not, it was worse here in the 80s. So let's see what happens this New Year's Eve. I'm crossing my fingers that no one gets hurt. And thank you so much for watching. If you watched this far, please give a like to this video and consider subscribing. And I will see you next year. And I'm wishing you all, as always, aloha.